The crucible of World War II flooded the United States with new aviation technology and a new generation of pilots, ground crews, and mechanics. Some of these men went on to serve in the new Air National Guard units that were being established throughout the country and its territories. The Dang's 142nd Tactical Fighter Squadron pilots were the archetypical fraternity of combat-hardened aviators with a hunger for flight hours and a taste for liquor. In the air, they were all business, but on the ground, the men lived fast and partied hard. On weekends, pilots and their wives joined together at bars and backyards for meals and enough alcohol to dampen the stress caused by their high-risk careers.
Of course, back in the day, these guys are all they're lieutenants and captains. They're young fighter pilots. They're just full of piss and vinegar. So there are these legendary stories of riding motorcycles up the grand staircase or taking an airplane apart and putting it back together again in his backyard and those kinds of stunts.
Out of that crucible also rose two individuals who were instrumental in molding the Dang into one of the Air National Guard's most award-winning units. They were Brigadier General William Spruance and Lieutenant General Clarence Ed Atkinson. General Spruance entered active duty in 1940 and was assigned to the 2nd Armored Division at Fort Benning, Georgia as a field artillery forward observer. He completed military flight training in 1943, then transferred to the Army Air Corps. He was assigned as a transport pilot to the Troop Carrier Command. Flying into Burma, he experimented with all-weather supply drops flying the C-46 Commando. He flew the high hump in Burma in the C-54 Skymaster and completed 362 missions in the China-Burma-India theater, ferrying troops and supplies. He was released from active duty in 1946. Spruance was named Assistant Adjutant General for Air, Delaware National Guard, with the rank of Brigadier General in 1956. He retired from that post in 1976. After suffering extensive burns in the near-fatal T-33 crash in 1961 that killed Squadron Commander Colonel David F. McAllister, he began a lifelong and legendary safety mission that took him to dozens of bases in the U.S. and around the world to make over 2,000 presentations on flying safety and crash survival. He was the first reserve officer awarded the Air Force Distinguished Service Medal for one of his 3 trips to Vietnam when he gave 100 presentations to over 10,000 people at 58 bases in 60 days. Lieutenant General Clarence Ed Atkinson was instrumental in leading the unit's 1962 to 1963 transformation from a fighter squadron to a transport group and its transition from the F-86 Sabres to the C-97 transports. Under his leadership, the unit reached C-1 status in record time and was awarded the Spatz Trophy for its flawless mission conversion. In September 1965, only 3 years after receiving the C-97s, the Delaware Air National Guard was awarded the McAllister Trophy as the Air National Guard Outstanding Transport Unit. The C-97 was proving that it had the ability to carry large cargo loads over great distances, and in 1962, the Dang flew its first transatlantic mission to Rheinland Air Base in Germany. From 1964 to 1974, the Delaware Air National Guard's massive C-97 airlifters brought material and supplies to the Vietnam theater. During Atkinson's tenure as air commander of the 166th Military Airlift Group, the unit voluntarily flew an estimated 60% of the missions to Vietnam it would have otherwise have flown if it had been activated. Atkinson later became Adjutant General for Delaware. One of the Dang's more notable missions was to transport entertainers who performed for U.S. troops stationed at bases far away from home. In December of 1963, Dang's C-97s and their crews airlifted comedian Bob Hope's Christmas tour to bases in the Mediterranean region. Effective January 1, 1966, Dr. Harold Brown, Secretary of the Air Force, announced that the Military Air Transport Service would be redesignated as the Military Airlift Command. The Dang was renamed the 166th Military Airlift Group. The 1960s was a tumultuous decade. Demonstrations against the Vietnam War and the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King sparked civil unrest that led to all-out riots in the streets of Wilmington, Delaware. On April 9, 1968, the Delaware Air National Guard was called to state active duty to quell civil disturbance and violence in the city of Wilmington, Delaware.
I remember I got the call at home, report out here to the base, and then they put us on trucks and we all drove into Wilmington. And I remember going into Wilmington in the back of a truck and just seeing the smoke and seeing the city on fire.
In September 1972, Colonel William F. Hutchinson, Jr. was named commander of the 166th Tactical Airlift Group, a position he held for 11 years. On May 12, 1971, the DANG changed its name from the 166th Military Airlift Group to the 166th Tactical Airlift Group and replaced its C-97s with C-130A Hercules prop jet cargo planes and began the transition from Military Airlift Command to Tactical Airlift Command. In March 1972, Captain Carolyn R. Doolittle became the first female to command a unit in the Delaware Air National Guard when she was appointed acting commander of the 142nd Aeromedical Evacuation Flight. From February 6 through February 9, 1978, selected individuals from the DANG were placed on state active duty during a snowstorm. These members assisted in removing snow from highways, transporting patients and staff to local hospitals, and manning telephone lines for emergencies. From 1978 through 1985, the DANG honed its skills at tactical airlift, performing airdrops, aeromedical training flights, and downrange training with other air mobility units.